Welcome back to the V8 Jeeps channel. I'm Scrib, and this is the 454 LSX for Project LSX WJ. Finally got the unit home. Still got it sitting in the crate. About to lift it up, get it put on the stand. We got a few things to do with this motor before it gets over there to get installed. We got an ATI fluid damper that we're going to put on in place of the factory harmonic balancer. For two reasons. One, the ATI is superior in keeping the vibrations and harmonics down inside the engine, will help with longevity. The other reason will be is the ATI damper that we have changes the accessories. This one here is set up for Corvette accessories. We're going to be running truck accessories. That's what we ran before when we had the 6-liter in the vehicle. So we're going to be sticking with the truck accessories. Cheaper, easier to get a hold of, easy to work with, and I know it all fit and worked and did the trick for us. After that, we got to get it flipped over. We got to get the oil pan and pickup tube put on it. And at that point, then we're pretty much going to have it ready to go in, but we still have a lot of other things to do on the Jeep. But today we're going to be getting it up off the crate. We're going to be getting it on the engine stand. It's right over here to my right. And then we're going to stare at this beautiful thing. But no, we're going to get some things done here, get that damper swapped out, and, well, we're going to get the oil pan and all that put on like we just discussed. So stand back and watch. We're going to get her lifted up, get her put on the stand, get all the bolts and everything in the back so it can sit on the engine stand, and then we can wheel it around and get the cherry picker and this crate out of the way here. Oh, that's our next step. Well, I figured real quick here we'd just take another quick walk around this thing. This is a beauty in a box right here. 454 cubic inches, a small block wonder. This is an LSX, very clearly. So we got LSX cylinder heads, LSX block, as you see, forged crank, forged rods, forged pistons, titanium intake valves, stainless steel exhaust valves. Everything induction-wise is LS7 based. So we've got some big ports going in and some big ports coming out. But this is a sexy unit. Of course, it's a Gen 4 LS, so we had to change up our wiring harness. The LQ4 based 6-liter that we had in the WJ prior to this was a Generation 3. From my understanding, of course, after I bought the harness, I could have bought just a couple adapter harnesses, but I wanted to have the right harness, and it just happened to work out perfectly that I had a gentleman that was looking for the harness that I had. So that all worked out. But at this point, like we just talked about, we're going to get her up on the stand and get her freed from the crate and get this thing ready to get installed. This box up to see what we got. I know there's a lot of steps in getting it ready. Nope, got stickers, that's mandatory. Got apparently some directions here and some other advice that we'll read here in just a moment. This says, "Dear customer, I personally packaged your damper as if it were my own. Please read all instructions before assembly. Some are specific to the damper part number you purchase. The bolts are the bolts for assembly are inside the hub attached to the cardboard or are pre-installed in the assembly. You are responsible for all Loctite and final torque per directions. If you bought an external balance damper and are going to send the unit to a balance shop, they will only need the hub and weight. Not our situation. This is all internally balanced. Take care to keep your parts safe while doing so and speak with them beforehand. Thank you for your purchase, and it's proudly manufactured and assembled in Baltimore, Maryland. Love you, AM." So we got a love note in there. This here I've got is a ARP LS balancer bolt that I already had. So I'd stuck it in the box and the socket that goes on there. A lot of cardboard in here. More cardboard in here. And then we've got the damper itself right here. Here's the center hub. Here's a bunch of bolts, which even though they say may need Loctite, these all look like they've got Loctite on them. And then amongst piles and piles of cardboard, here's the damper itself. Take it out of the bag. See this unit here? Pretty fancy. It's got a little note on here, a minimum of 9 bolts must be installed, Loctited, and torqued correctly. So we've got some instructions to read. I watched a video that somebody put out. It's quite a few steps and quite a bit of torquing and some angle business and so on. So we're going to have to get that all figured out. One of the first things we're going to do is remove the stock damper off the LSX here. Any of you that's never done that, well, let me grab the tool and we'll show you how that's done. All right, here's our balancer puller kit. I think this actually might be from AutoZone. I think they're the ones that put out the OEM tools, but pretty straightforward, like most of you have seen if you've ever done anything like this. You got your 3 jaws here. Those are going to hook onto the spokes, if you will, on the balancer. You got a different size rod that's going to go in there. These rods right here, they fit inside the bolt. This bolt goes in. This one's a little bent. We might have to straighten that out a little bit. But this bolt goes in here. These grab the spokes on the balancer. And you stick this in there. That's after the balancer bolt is removed, by the way. And then you put this in there. And you crank this down here. And it'll pull out the balancer. We're going to show you that here in just a moment. Okay, so the point we're at here is we're going to remove the old balancer. Every LS engine that I've ever fiddled with has a 24 millimeter bolt here, or whatever this bolt size is, it takes a 24 millimeter socket. So got that on here, and we're going to remove that off there right now. Yep, that was effortless. So we got that off. Then the next step is going to be to put the balancer remover on there. Again, you've seen this unit. We're going to put this rod in there. I already know from experience that this takes the longer one. And then we're going to attach this quite nicely right here on the motor. And I didn't have it prepared yet, but you need an 18 millimeter socket. This actually has a 3/8, I'll show you guys this, a hole for a 3/8 ratchet or impact or whatever you want to use. I'm sure they probably tell you to do it by hand with a hand tool, and it's going to get done with an impact. But get this on there, attach this onto the flange on the balancer, switch the socket around, hold all the arms on the balancer properly. We're just going to drive that in there and make sure all 3 are on there properly so you don't tweak anything. Just like that, there we are. That's off. So here we go. They definitely lubricated that from the factory where they put this motor together. That is one nice thing I could say about these LSXs is they are hand assembled. I never did any research to find out where they do it at, but these are hand assembled. So we're going to grab all of our ATI stuff, get that right over here. Then we're going to get that installed. All right, so the next thing that we've got to do here is these dampers come with a slot for a keyway. Sure you can see that there. And that's for situations where you may be using this to drive a supercharger or something that has a high torque on it, and they don't want it to spin. In our case, the LSs are not keyed. There's a kit or something that you can get to do that if you need. In this case, that's unnecessary. But one thing they tell us to do is get some silicone and fill that groove with silicone before we bolt the damper on. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We've got some black silicone here I'm going to fill the spot with. And fill that up. The whole point of that is if you don't fill it up with silicone, then it's likely to leak. And we definitely don't want that to happen. So we're going to fill that groove up all the way. Then I might get a little sloppy and put a little extra on there. Most cases, a little extra is not going to hurt. So get another little blip of that. Stick that on there. And get ready to install it. So I got that done. I'm going to have to grab another glove. I don't want to get silicone all over everything. So I'm going to go grab a glove and then we'll go to the next spot here. All right, so we're at this point here where we're going to put the balancer in. We've got the silicone in the slot. We're going to use a little bit of dielectric grease here and just put a little bit of grease on the outside of the snout here where it's going to be on the crankshaft seal. And I should keep everything all nice and lubricated. And then at this point, I'm going to stick this on here. It's only going to go on so far. Well, of course I'm going to drop everything. Well, we got a bearing here that goes on the installer. This is a pretty crucial part here. It's a balancer installer. I don't know if you use these on other engines or not, but, well, you do. But whether this one goes on other engines or not, but this one is for an LS, the best that I know. So, got to thread this into the crankshaft. And again, here I am getting started on this, and then I don't have all my tools out, so I'm probably going to have to go grab a wrench real soon. Pretty sure it's a 22 or a 24 millimeter, but you get this threaded all the way into the crank. And man, not going to have a lot of room to get a wrench on here. That's making me a little nervous about how exactly I'm going to do this. By the time you thread this all in, and there's not much there. So, you can put a big socket on there. In fact, it is a 24. So, I might have to drive this as far as I can in there, and then once this shaft bottoms out, gosh, I'm not sure quite how we're going to do this, but we're going to go this route, get it on there as far as I can, and see what happens from there. Looks like that gave us just enough to get her in there. And then there's going to be some other steps. At this point, I'm going to try to get this up back off. All right, then we got to move on to the next spot. Next spot there, they tell us to use the old bolt. And I'm going to thread that on there. Man, this thing is really deep. So that's on there. Got to do a torque procedure. And we got to twist it and somehow get this thing to, we got to get 240-degree turns on this thing. And I have a feeling we're going to end up turning the motor by that point. But I'm going to evaluate the situation here, see how we're going to do that, and go at it. So bear with me. I'll be right back. All right, well, we didn't get all the steps on the camera. Doing the 240-degree turns, I had to get somebody over here to help me and hold things in place, and that's a lot of work. Torquing it to 240 foot-pounds, that on its own is a lot of work, but it's all set, it's installed, and here we are. So, I'll get you there and bring it a little closer so you can see it. It does stick out quite a bit in the front there, but that's part of the deal with truck accessories that we're running. So, it's installed and ready to rip. So at this point, we got a lot of other stuff to do, but this took a lot longer than I expected. So not quite sure what I'm going to do yet at this point. Might take a shower and call it a day, or we might move forward and do a little bit more here, but don't have a lot else to do with the motor until it's time to go in. I do have some brackets. These LSXs have holes here on the back sides of the valve covers where you put coil brackets. Not sure why they did that. Not sure if that's just a matter of so you can see the LSX 454 engraved in there. Not quite sure what the point is of all that, but we have those brackets, so we'll get those installed, put together eventually, but most of it's going to wait until we get the motor put into the Jeep. We don't want a bunch of extra stuff floating around on there while we're dangling it around and getting it down into its new home. So I think that's pretty much about where we're at this point. So I appreciate you guys watching. Not the most exciting video. There's a lot more to come. We got a lot more work to do. So thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Have a great night. Have a great day. Any questions or anything, please put it in the comments. And I, again, really appreciate you guys watching. Have a great night.